Joe Keller, a successful businessman, lives with his wife Kate, son Chris, in suburban American comfort. Their neighbor Jim Bayless is a doctor, while Frank Luby studies horoscopes, adding to their quiet neighborhood. Joe's former partner, Steve Deaver, is currently in prison for shipping faulty airplane parts during World War.
Don't you hold anything against him?
Annie, I never believed in crucifying people.
But he was your partner. He dragged you through the mud.
Well, he ain't my sweetheart, but you gotta forgive, don't you?
You either, Kate? Don't you feel any...
The next time you write Dad,
I don't write him.
well, every now and then you...
No, I've never written to him. Say, do you feel this way too?
He murdered 21 pilots.
What the hell kind of talk is that?
That's not a thing to say about a man.
What else can you say? When they took him away, I followed him, went to him every visiting day. I was crying all the time, until the news came about Larry. Then I realized, it's wrong to pity a man like that. Father or no father, there's only one way to look at him. He knowingly shipped out parts what would crash an airplane. And how do you know Larry wasn't one of them?
I was waiting for that. As long as you're here, Annie, I want to ask you never to say that again.
You surprise me. I thought you'd be mad at him.
What your father did had nothing to do with Larry. Nothing.
But we can't know that.
As long as you're here,
But Kate...
put that out of your head.
Chris intends to propose to Ann Deever, Steve's daughter and former sweetheart of his missing brother Larry.
What do you want me to do? You're old enough to know your own mind.
Then it's all right? I'll go ahead with it?
Well, you want to be sure Mother isn't going to...
Then it isn't just my business.
I'm just saying.
Sometimes you infuriate me, you know that? Isn't it your business too? If I tell this to Mother and she throws a fit about it? You have such a talent for ignoring things.
Ignore what I gotta ignore. The girl is Larry's girl.
She's not Larry's girl.
From Mother's point of view, he is not dead, and you have no right to take his girl.
I'm going to ask her to marry me.
Ann arrives, revealing she has not heard from Larry for years and considers him officially dead now. Kate remains deeply in denial, insisting that Larry is still alive and will return home eventually someday.
And you? You go out much?
You mean, am I still waiting for him?
Well, no, I don't expect you to wait for him, but,
But that's what you meant, isn't it?
well, yes.
Well, I'm not, Kate.
You're not?
Isn't it ridiculous? You don't really imagine he's...
I know, dear, but don't say it's ridiculous, because the papers were full of it. I don't know about New York, but there was half a page about a man missing even longer than Larry, and he turned up in Burma.
He couldn't have wanted to come home very badly, Mom.
Don't be so smart.
You can have a hell of a time in Burma.
So I've heard.
Mother, I'll bet you money that you're the only woman in the country who after 3 years is still...
You're sure?
Yes, I am.
Well, if you're sure, then you're sure. They don't say it on the radio, but I'm sure that in the dark of night they're still waiting for their sons.
Chris admits his love for Ann, but he fears his mother will never accept their potential union.
You know Larry's not coming back, and I know it. Why do we allow her to go on thinking that we believe with her?
What do you want to do, argue with her?
I don't want to argue with her, but it's time she realized that nobody believes Larry is alive anymore. Why shouldn't she dream of him, walk the nights waiting for him? Do we contradict her? Do we say straight out that we have no hope anymore? That we haven't had any home for years now?
You can't say that to her.
We've got to say it to her.
How are you going to prove it? Can you prove it?
For God's 3 years! Nobody comes back after 3 years. It's insane!
George Deaver, Ann's brother, arrives from visiting his father, Steve, who claims Joe is actually the culprit. George reveals that Joe ordered Steve to ship the cracked parts while Joe stayed home that day.
Are you married yet?
No, I'm not married yet.
You're not going to marry him
Why am I not going to marry him?
because his father destroyed your family. Now look, George, cut it short, Chris. Tell her to come home with me. Let's not argue, you know what I've got to say. George, you don't want to be the voice of God, do you? That's been your trouble all your life, George. You dive into things. What kind of statement is that to make? You're a big boy now. I'm a big boy now. Don't come bullying in here. If you've got something to say, be civilized about it. Don't civilize me!
Shh. Now what happened? You kissed me when I left, now you...
My life turned upside down since then. I wanted to go to Dad and tell him you were going to be married. It seemed impossible not to tell him. He loved you so much. Annie, we did a terrible thing. We can never be forgiven. Not even to send him a card at Christmas. Annie, you don't know what was done to that man.
Of course I know.
You can't know, you wouldn't be here. Dad came to work that day. The night foreman came to him and showed him the cylinder heads. They were coming out of the process with defects. There was something wrong with the process. So Dad went directly to the phone and called here, and told Joe to come down right away. But the morning passed, no sign of Joe. So Dad called again. By this time he had over 100 defectives. The army was screaming for stuff, and to ship. So Joe told him, on the phone he told him to weld the cracks in any way he could and ship them out. Dad was afraid. He wanted Joe there if he was going to do it. But Joe can't come down, he's sick. He's sick. Sick! He suddenly gets the flu? But he promised to take responsibility. Do you understand what I'm saying? On the telephone, you can't have responsibility. In a court, you can always deny a phone call, and he did. They know he was a liar the first time, but in the appeal, they believe the rotten lie. And now Joe is a big shot, and your father is the patsy. Now what are you going to do? Eat his food? Sleep in his bed? Answer me, what are you going to do?
Joe defends himself by arguing he was merely doing his job for the sake of his family. Chris becomes increasingly suspicious, confronting his father about the truth regarding the faulty parts in the crime. Joe insists he sacrificed his own integrity only to build a future for Chris and his company. Chris is horrified, realizing his father's wealth was built on the deaths of brave pilots in war.
You'll never let Larry go till I marry Ann.
I'll never let him go, and you'll never let him go.
I've let him go. I've let him go a long...
Then let your father go.
She's out of her mind.
Altogether, your brother's alive, darling, because if he's dead, your father killed him. Do you understand me now? As long as you live, that boy is alive. God does not let a son be killed by his father.
She's out of her mind.
Then you did it?
He never flew a P-40.
But the others?
She's out of her mind.
Dad, you did it?
He never flew a P-40? What's the matter with you?
Then you did it, to the others.
What's the matter with you? What the hell is the matter with you?
How could you do that? How?
What's the matter with you?
Dad, you killed 21 men!
What, killed?
You killed them! You murdered them!
How could I kill anybody?
Dad! Dad!
I didn't kill anybody!
What did you do? Explain it to me or I'll tear you to pieces!
Don't, Chris, don't!
I want to know what you did. Now what did you do? You had 120 cracked engine heads. What did you do?
If you're gonna hang me, then
I'm listening.
You're a boy, what could I do? I'm in business, a man is in business. 120 cracked, you're out of business. You got a process, the process don't work, you're out of business. You don't know how to operate. Your stuff is no good. They close you up. They tear up your contracts. What the hell's it to them? You lay 40 years into a business, and they knock you out in 5 minutes. What could I do? Let them take 40 years? Let them take my life away? I never thought they'd install them. I swear to God, I thought they'd stop them before anybody took off.
Then why'd you ship them out?
By the time they could spot them, I thought I'd have the process going again and I could show them they needed me and they'd let it go by. But weeks passed and I got no kickback, so I was going to tell them.
Then why didn't you tell them?
It was too late. The paper, it was all over the front page. 21 went down, it was too late. They came with handcuffs into the shop. What could I do? Chris, I did it for you. It was a chance and I took it for you. When would I have another chance to make something for you? 61 years old, you don't get another chance, do you?
For me! For me! I was dying every day, and you were killing my boys, and you did it for me? What the hell do you think I was thinking of? The goddamn business?
Ann eventually reveals a letter from Larry, written just before his plane vanished during the final flight. The letter explains that Larry learned about the crime and could no longer live with the shame. Larry planned to commit suicide by crashing his plane because he felt guilty about his father's actions. The revelation shatters Kate's delusions, forcing her to finally acknowledge that her beloved son is truly dead.
First, you've got to understand. When I came, I didn't have any idea that Joe, against him or you, I came to get married, I hoped, so I didn't bring this to hurt you. I thought I'd show it to you only if there was no other way to settle Larry in your mind.
Larry?
He wrote to me just before I'm not trying to hurt you, Kate. I've been so lonely, Kate. I can't leave here alone again. You made me show it to you. You wouldn't believe me. I told you 100 times. Why wouldn't you believe me?
Oh my God.
Kate, please, please.
My God, my God.
Kate, dear, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Joe is completely devastated, seeing the consequences of his greed and the destruction of his own family. He finally understands that his actions did not just impact strangers, but ultimately destroyed his own son.
Exactly what's the matter? What's the matter? You got too much money? Is that what bothers you?
It bothers me.
If you can't get used to it, then throw it away. You hear me? Take every cent and give it to charity, throw it in the sewer. Does that settle it? In the sewer, that's all? You think I'm kidding? I'm telling you to do it. If it's dirty, then burn it. It's your money, that's not my money. I'm a dead man, I'm an old Dean man, nothing's mine. Well, talk to me, what do you want to do?
It's not what I want to do. It's what you want to do.
What should I do, jail? You want me to go to jail? If you want me to go, say so. Is that where I belong? Then tell me so. What's the matter? Why can't you tell me? You say everything else to me, say that. I'll tell you why you can't say it. Because you know I don't belong there. Because you know who worked for nothing in that war. When they ship a gun or a truck out of Detroit before they got their price? Is that clean? It's dollars and cents, nickels and dimes, war and peace, it's nickels and dimes. What's clean? Half the goddamn country's gotta go if I go. That's why you can't tell me.
I know you're no worse than most men, but I thought you were better. I never saw you as a man. I saw you as my father. I can't look at you this way, and I can't look at myself.
He's going to read it! Larry wrote it to me the day he died.
Larry!
Chris, it's not for you. Joe, go away.
Why'd she say, Larry, what?
Don't tell him, Chris.
3.5 years, talking. Now you tell me what you must do. Now tell me where you belong.
Chris, a man can't be a Jesus in this world.
I know all about the world. I know the whole crap story. Now listen to this, and tell me what a man's gotta be. My dear Anne, you listening? He wrote this the day he died. Listen, don't cry. My dear Anne, it is impossible to put down the things I feel. But I've got to tell you something. Yesterday, they flew in a load of papers from the States, and I read about Dad and your father being convicted. I can't express myself. I can't tell you how I feel. I can't bear to live anymore. Last night, I circled the base for 20 minutes before I could bring myself in. How could he have done that? Every day, 3 or 4 men never come back, and he sits back there doing business. I don't know how to tell you what I feel. I can't face anybody. I'm going out on a mission in a few minutes. They'll probably report me as missing. If they do, I want you to know that you mustn't wait for me. I tell you, Anne, if I had him there now, I could kill him.
Chris decides to leave home, intending to turn his father in to the authorities for his crime. Joe argues that he only ever acted out of love for his son and for their future. Chris counters that he is not just a son, but part of a much larger human family unit. Joe walks back into the house, fully realizing that he has failed as a man and a father.
Get the car. I'll put on my jacket.
Why are you going? You'll sleep. Why are you going?
I can't sleep here. I'll feel better if I go.
You're so foolish. Larry was your son too, wasn't he? You know he'd never tell you to do this.
Then what is this letter if it isn't telling me? Sure, he was my son, but I think to him they were all my sons. And I guess they were. I'll be right down.
You're not going to take him!
I'm taking him.
It's up to you. If you tell him to stay, he'll stay. Go and tell him!
Nobody could stop him now.
You'll stop him. How long will he live in prison? Are you trying to kill him?
I thought you read the letter.
The war is over. Didn't you hear? It's over.
Then what was Larry to you? A stone that fell into the water? It's not enough for him to be sorry. Larry didn't kill himself to make you and Dad sorry.
What more can we be?
You can be better. Once and for all, you can know. There's a universe of people outside, and you're responsible to it. And unless you know that, you threw away your son because that's why he died.
A loud gunshot rings out from inside the house, ending Joe's life and his desperate, tragic story.
Find Jim!
Joe,
Joe! Joe! Joe!
The neighbors gather in shock as the reality of the situation settles over the quiet suburban street. Kate urges Chris to move on with his life, despite the deep pain and loss they feel.
Mother, I didn't mean to.
Don't, dear. Don't take it on yourself. Forget now. Live.